Hi guys, and I'll do one more in that vein. Certainly we hear all the time that crime is down, and certainly even the interim police chief has said, rape is up. So I find it very interesting that crime usually is about male against male violence or male on male violence. Again, I'm not an expert. This is my lived experience. This is some of my own perspective and my education. Your mileage may vary, and certainly what I've experienced. Okay, so male on male violence is some sort of that's the kind of violence that we predominantly talk about. When it comes to women, not so much, because we know how women are treated. We know as you go through the process, it's horrible. And also, it was always okay. It was okay to rape your wife. It was okay to bash your wife around a little while. I'm still waking up. Because she was an object. She was your property, okay? My grandmother could not own her own land. She was thrown out on the street. She had to go back to waitressing, and she did. She raised my mother, she raised me, and she was a terrific grandmother. She was a terrific mother. She stood by my mother until the very end. But she had to start over repeatedly. She had her own business they ruined. She worked at Stewart. She invested. This was before the 401k or investing in companies. Stewart's called everybody, which they're doing again. The employees can invest in the company. My grandmother did. She was so excited. She was so cute. She only went to 7th grade, but she was pretty smart. She would sit down with her little John Hancock investments, and she thought she was doing well, even after what they did to her. But what they do is no matter how many times you get up, they will kick you back down. Now, certainly these issues surrounding this are new issues. I mean, prostitution has always been with us. They'll tell you all the time it's ancient, it's not going away, and I would agree. But certainly they'll tell us then on the other side of their face, they don't know anything about it. Well, let me tell you something. It's not complicated, okay? It's not complicated. We know with traffickers, they like to either control. We know predominantly they control your money. No woman can be a manager of her own, anything to do with sex on her own, because it always involves a pimp. And I'll get more into some of this stuff as I educate myself and I share on my channel. So certainly, who would have thought? I certainly didn't 20 years ago that the man you married had in his mind the idea he was going to be your pimp rather than your husband. He had no intention. When you take out a contract law, you enter into it in good faith intentions, and you don't come out on the other side and say, oh, well, guess what? Your husband was never a husband. He never had any responsibility to provide for you and take a vow and love you and yada, yada, yada. And you could argue some of that. What a husband is supposed to be doing, he was actually your pimp. Ha, ha, ha. And judges tell me my marriage is null and void after 20 years, and you can go live in the parking lot and turn tricks. Who would have thought? Well, I guess everybody all the haters lined up say, oh, it's a matter of course. All the tater heads, the tater tots that are following Andrew Tate around thinks this is a sexy thing to do. So this is why I'm raising awareness. This is why you can see all this misogyny on my page. I've come up against it in our court system, even from women, even from black women. One of the women, she was a black judge. I don't know how she thought she got there without women's rights, but who knows? But certainly, and I'm not calling her out either, because this is across the board. And this is why I'm raising awareness what a horrible crime modern slavery is, trafficking, and forced prostitution. Let me ask you all, if prostitution is so great, all you guys are lined up, you're all porn addicts, why do you have to force anybody? If you have a problem getting sex nowadays, you certainly are the problem. You're the one with mental health issues. Guys years ago had to go through all kinds of things to, get close to a woman. Nowadays, if you can't get laid, you have a problem. But you know what? These guys, and ask prostitutes, they'll tell you, they're all married and they all sit around, oh, my wife doesn't understand me. But what's the first thing they want? Not love. Oh no, they want you to pee on you or play in your cocky, or they want to do repugnant things, or they want to be violent. And of course we know it's younger. Okay? So who would have thought? Yeah, who would have thought? and most of them are married. Did I say that? Yes, they're all married, and they all tell other women, and there was women in and out of there, and I'm not calling anybody a prostitute. I don't slut shame, but obviously something else is going on if I'm being forced into a situation that isn't comfortable for me. And certainly it's not predominantly about sex. We know it's about power. It's about keeping someone confined, keeping them enslaved, keeping them like property or a pet. And certainly other people that have experienced this in their historical lineage should be outraged about traffickers, trafficking, and forced prostitution. Because certainly prostitutes will tell us they're not into forcing anybody. They don't have to. Well, then why is this proliferating? Why is trafficking $1 billion industry? And think about it. How would a trafficker keep you in an apartment? They used to do it with food. They used to do it with controlling your money. They used to do it with other things. Well, we don't see prostitutes often now walking the streets because there's other ways to keep people confined, keeping their energy low, keeping them in a low vibe situation. And we can get more into this, but again, I'm not an expert. I had to scramble to educate myself because who would have thought? I didn't even know what a sexual assault was when I was sexually assaulted before my divorce started. I had no clue. I didn't know what friends with benefits were. I didn't know what fuck buddies were, and on and on and on. So we will continue. Be safe.